And that there is a completed countdown. How'd that countdown feel for you, Angel? We went all the way through instead of me hijacking it 10 seconds.
Well, it was
10 seconds left.
Really laggy and janky.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I think that's your connection. I seem to be streaming pretty well. But Jason, how are you doing?
It was all right. We need a countdown that starts at 10 seconds, though, not 30.
Yeah. Well, I usually start it before I actually hit the go live button thing. But I was pretty prepared for some weirdness because I just prepped Angel to let everybody know to subscribe on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so this is the REI Rocks preview today. I just put the letter P before review. It was Angel's wonderful idea, so that was a good recovery because we're going like, oh no, what are we going to do? This hasn't been a summit thing, but we wanted to highlight something we were doing. But in general, Angel, do you want to start off by talking about what we do on the review?
I can. So generally, this is the REI Rocks review. And what we're doing is we go through previous summit sessions and we break them down and we help you figure out how to take what you need to take home from it. So how to just pull out the important stuff and figure out what you can leave behind and still take home the major points. This is actually an REI Rocks preview because this is an upcoming masterclass. So if you are thinking about doing something more amazing on LinkedIn, and you have heard about the amazing Amy Sylvis and what she's put together for her LinkedIn course, then you're going to want to be a part of our summit because Amy's going to be there doing a masterclass. So that's absolutely something you want to be a part of. And that's what we're going to preview today.
Excellent. And my favorite thing about breaking it down is when Jason starts locking and popping. I think you stopped doing actual break dancing on the review, right, Jason? You only stick to, like doing the robot. No,
he doesn't dance.
I don't dance. I do the white boy shuffle.
You do the white boy shuffle. Excellent. So we are talking to Amy Sylvis today. Let me add my screen here. That was amazing. I love that immensely.
It wasn't easy for our first dance at the wedding, but
I see. Right on. Okay, so I can share this right here. So this was a nice little group that we had here, but just so you know, we're going to be reviewing at 1.5 times playback speed. Do not adjust your television set and stuff. And we got Frank saying hey to Amy. Yeah, there's Frank right here as well. That's very exciting stuff. But we're going to be playing at 1.5 times speed, and that's just because I might fall asleep if it's at 1 time speed. And it also shows you how to consume pre-recorded content in a much better way for speeding up the whole learning process. So let's get started.
Yeah, do it.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to talk for a few seconds first, and then we'll dive right in. So I recognize most of you all, but if you don't know me, I'm Amy Sylvis of Sylvis Capital. Hey, Matt. Hey, Frank. Thanks for that thumbs up. Hey, Angel. You guys are sweet. This is fun. I feel like I'm in a room full of friends. So thanks to you all for having me, Jason, and Angel. I'm here to really help you all up your LinkedIn game. LinkedIn, as you may know, has the highest average net income or earnings of any social media platform. And I found it to be really this endless well of capital that we all can raise from. And I've been doing it myself with incredible results. I do not only acquisitions, I find deals, but I do capital raising as well. I'm one of those sociopaths that thinks she can do them both. So I do them both. But I really want to just help you all get your LinkedIn either up and running or help elevate your game I've got 5 tips for you all today. So it may take 20 minutes, it may not, but feel free to interject. I'd love to keep this interactive. If something doesn't make sense, if you want me to dive deeper, just let me know, because I've had some people say, Amy, why are you going to give all your LinkedIn tips away? Aren't you afraid it's going to diminish your ability to raise capital? Not at all. There are so many people on the platform. You all have different connections than I have. Even if we have the same connections, there is more than enough for everybody. Dan raised his hand. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to blow smoke for a second because I'm not sure that everybody in this room recognizes where you're at objectively. And the thing is, I'm a guy who's known for my LinkedIn stuff. Okay, I got a lot of stuff going on there. Yep. I've known you since 2 Decembers ago.
Yep.
Okay. And so you know that like I know how to program, so I can actually make algorithms, so I can make educated guesses on how the algorithm works. I've also done tens of millions of dollars worth of split testing. Okay. So like I know how to do little things that will force the algorithm to show its hand. Okay. So even though I've known that shit since before I even met Amy, she's still been able to outperform me by a lot. Okay. So like she definitely knows things that I don't know. I've also worked with somebody who had 1.1 million followers, and I was working with her for about a month and a half just to find out, it's like, okay, what are her tricks? What is she doing that I'm not doing? Okay. So like it's really important that everybody realizes that, Amy is not just another influencer. So I just want to say that real quick.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. I have a hard time talking about myself. I'll go right to the facts and the content. So I appreciate your kind words. That really means a lot to me. So before I show you these 5 tips, I'm going to incorporate, I don't know if you've all read this book called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. If you haven't, please get a hold of it. It's a very quick read. The author is actually on LinkedIn and he posts really great tips as well. But I like to bring up this book because I feel, and Dan, anyone else chime in, let me know if you agree, the algorithm on LinkedIn rewards this type of behavior. So what do I mean by that? What is a go-giver mentality? If you want to receive something, you have to start giving. So whether you're giving educational content, whether you're giving free webinars on things that are broadcast on LinkedIn, whether you're commenting on other people's posts, all of that is rewarded. So you will start to see, once you proactively start giving on the platform, that you'll start receiving those eyeballs, and then you'll start receiving comments, and then DMs wondering, hey, Kimberly, I've been watching your posts. What have you been up to? Hey, Ira, I've always been interested in real estate. What's going, what are you doing in this space? Frank, it looks like you're doing really well. I want to do really well too. What's going on? It's amazing how that flows. So I don't mean to get too hippy dippy right off the bat, but this mindset, which, if you're in this mastermind, I think you understand these rules of the universe. LinkedIn rewards it hand over fist. So we're going to start off there. And then I'm going to share my own LinkedIn page to show you all some more tips and tricks. Okay, so this is my page. Y'all can see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so my first tip for you all, and again, feel free to interrupt. If I look to the left, it's just because I've got 2 screens. Y'all over here, my page that I'm sharing is right here. So let's start off first from this go-giver mindset. What is the first tip that I'm going to recommend? It goes back to commenting on other people's posts. So the first thing I do in the morning, and I would recommend you all do as well, pick 3 content creators, whomever you want, and give them comments. Support their posts. And better yet, I mean, I'd love for you to support Dan, support Angel, support anyone within this network. I really think that that's a good idea. But also think, who are you trying to raise capital from? Is your avatar a doctor? Is your avatar a teacher? Is it a lawyer? Find people on this website.
Angel, I know that you have some things to say on the subject of an avatar. And the thing is, like, I know that like it just hit me that like normally you think it's embarrassing, but I think that there's a baby in the bathwater about, like how can you get as far as you have with no avatar, and what you can really deduce in general about just give some insight to the thought process on that and what you shared before.
Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. So for the longest time, I didn't think we had an avatar. And I certainly wasn't marketing toward an avatar because I wasn't aware that we had one. And if we had one, I didn't know what it was. And we've been in this space for, over 5 years now, probably 5 years-ish. And I started looking at the people that not necessarily follow us, but like to hang out with us. Who's coming to our Marvelous Mondays? Who's coming to our summits? Who is hanging out with us? And when we go places, when we go to conferences, who are we talking to? And who wants to talk to us? And so I started looking for similarities in those people. And I was like, well, it's not an age thing because there's 60 and 70-year-old people that want to hang out with us. There's 20 and 30-year-old people that want to hang out with us, and everybody in between. So it had nothing to do with age. I mean, I'm looking at backgrounds. There's engineers, there's software developers, there's programmers, there's teachers, there's like all of these people with all of these backgrounds. So there's not a similarity between backgrounds either. And so I kept wondering, what in the world is it? And so I've listened to tons of people, specifically like when you talk to Amy and Julie over at Good Egg, their avatar is like, and I don't know the names or the ages or anything. I'm just kind of putting this out there because this is the way I heard it was. Our avatar is Samantha. Samantha is 34. Samantha has 2 children. Her children are involved in XYZ sports. Her children go to these schools. And I was just like, holy night, because their avatar is incredibly specific and they are marketing specifically to that avatar. So I was like, well, they're crazy successful. So is what I'm doing wrong? And the more that we've done this, we've been quite successful in 2 capital raises. And we raise in-house for our own deals generally. And when I say successful, Jason and I have raised $1 million or over $1 million 2 times now. And so I'm going to say that's pretty darn successful. So on our first raise and our second raise. And so I don't know. I think that, excuse me, my allergies are killing me right now. I think that having an avatar is great. I think it simplifies the marketing that you're doing, and you don't have to be quite as chameleon-like. But at the same time, if your avatar is based on something else, like I think that our avatar is based on people that want to be in a relaxed environment. They want to be in a laid back environment, and they want to be around people that are not talking at them, but people that are talking with them. I think that is the avatar that we've created. It is not a specific person. It is not somebody named John that's 35 in the engineering field. It's just your average person that is looking to invest and wants to do so in a relaxed environment where they don't feel pressure. So
I love that.
Yeah, you don't have to be crazy specific with it. At least in my opinion, you don't have to be.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I figured out a way to tie Jason in, which is it really has to do with being an engineer and how I do think that engineers tend to be pragmatists. Okay, so they're being pragmatic, and the other thing too is I think that we're also very skeptical of marketing and finance in general. You know, I think that until we start really digging into those subjects, you know, it basically seems like snake oil or smoke and mirrors. And so Jason, like if I were to tell you that when people get into that level of detail about who their avatar is, it's basically just spinning your tires for additional billable hours. Would like the engineer in you, are you just like, yeah, you know what, it probably is now that you mention it, or do you think that that's too cynical, or what comes to mind?
So my internet just broke out and I missed everything you just said.
It's okay.
Sweet.
I can take it on.
Cool.
So this is my thought about it. By getting really singular and granular on your avatar, it makes your marketing easier. It does. And how many, just to say like the 35-year-old John that's an engineer, how many people in that 33 to 37 range, because that's really what you're going to hit when you're going for 35, or maybe even 30 to 40 by hitting 35. How many people are male engineers in the 30 to 40 range that are going to be interested in hearing what you have to say about investing in real estate? A bazillion. So you're aiming your marketing at one person because it makes it easier on you. It makes it very specific and very relevant to that particular person. And I am never, ever, ever going to say that is not an amazing and smart way to go, because I know too many people that are doing it and experiencing insane results and success.
Yep. So to pong it back to you, here's the other side that that's coming to my mind is like I did a big long organic experiment on YouTube, and part of the reason why I did something that was that many pieces of content is because I knew I needed to become much better on camera. And so what really ended up happening to me that I think benefited across the board is just having a really clear idea of who is in that little lens right there, and just get a standard way of, you know, having a conversation with who's ever in there. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that you don't necessarily want to exclude, which is something that I've applauded you many times, Angel. It's for the fact that like you don't go, it's like we're all about women, we're all about girls, we're support, you know, like it's like you don't really bring your gender in at all, but a lot of people do. So any comments, or you want to keep going? Oh, you're muted.
I'm over here hacking up a lung, and I don't want to be hacking up a lung and doing all disgusting sounds on the live feed. So that is one of the reasons why I never got specific. is because I don't want to eliminate over, half of the people out there. And that was just a me thing. And I don't think that I don't think gender should matter. And I don't want people to feel like they can only, this one's going to be, I don't know how to say this one without it sounding funny, but we tend to gravitate toward people that look like us. And I don't want to even be restricted by people wanting to invest with me because they look like me. I want people to invest with Jason and I because they can relate to us and we can relate to them, and we can bring it down to whatever level it is, or bring it up to whatever level they need for us to go to for them to understand it. Now, Jason can take it through the rafters if you want to get into the numbers of it and the metrics of it and all of those kinds of things. I can make it relatable. I can break it down. I've been teaching for like ever. And I've taught everything from like pre-K through college. So I can help make you, or not make you, but I can help you understand it. I can help bring it into terms that are going to be easier to understand. And hopefully I can just make you feel comfortable, because I think at the end of the day, that's what you need when you're entering the space. Because if you've never invested in real estate, you're going to be scared. And we want to take the fear away. We want you to know that you can ask us anything. We're going to respond to you, and we're going to do our best to respond very quickly. And we just want you to feel safe and secure. And if you don't invest with us, that's okay. I've got a whole thing where when you wind up in this loop sometimes, where when you're capital raising, you get in this follow-up loop, because people, they are your friends. They do become your friends, and they don't want to say no. And so one of the things that I do is I say, hey, whether or not you invest in this deal doesn't change our friendship. It doesn't have any effect on the relationship whatsoever. And I can usually get people to come back around and talk to me. And I feel like if we were aiming at something very specific, like if we were aiming at engineers 30 to 40, I couldn't have those conversations, because I would be able to relate to them, but only through my experiences of Jason. And so I feel like if that was our avatar, it would be not very hard, but it would be much tougher to really link into people and to really relate to people and give them that level of comfort. Jason would be quite successful, but he's very introverted too. And so I feel like that doesn't maximize our skill sets. So I feel like the way that we do it really maximizes our skill sets, and it's outside the norm. So that's why, like, once I finally get my TikTok going, I'm actually the real estate investor on TikTok. And part of that is because we just do it different. Jason has his bow tie. I'm in blue jeans or leggings or jeggings and t-shirts. My hair is purple. We just do things differently. And I would just say, it's, if you can't hone in on the very specific avatar, it's okay. And just be you, because I think people are going to be drawn to you. And then that draw will help you identify what it is that people are drawn to. And that can help you design an avatar that isn't quite as specific, but still allows you to market successfully.
And you were talking a lot just there, basically in the context of Lauren Capital, but I've seen you give advice to at least 100 different syndicators out there. And I know for a fact that, like, these are not investors. These are people who are just in our circle, and they're people who need help. And it's fantastic that you're generous like that. But I do have to mention that if you wanted to meet up and find out all those things, then and get that kind of relationship going, because, like, honestly, you have no business investing with somebody who you don't really have your head around, quite frankly. And so having some social time, I think, is the missing bit there. So Angel, do you want to say a couple things about the Marvelous Mondays?
Absolutely. So we meet every Monday at noon Eastern, and we are, like I said, we're just super laid back. We're not real formal. You don't need to dress up super nice. I literally, and I admitted this to Peely yesterday, I said, I literally wear like comfy, like yoga pants or pajama pants. So waist down, I'm super comfy. I'm in t-shirt, so waist up, I'm super comfy too. But I really love the virtual environment. I like the fact that you can come as you are, and you just get to be in that zone. It's not about putting on, I guess, putting on airs or dressing up or being something outside of who you are. It's about just coming and hanging out, and we learn a lot of things. There are people that come that have so much experience, and they will openly share. Like sometimes I'll be in a small room or a breakout room, and somebody will ask me a question. I'm like, I really don't know. And so we'll go into the big room, and I'll put the question out there, and I won't say who asked it because sometimes people get embarrassed, but I'll put it out there, and then we all get to discuss it. And so the person that had the question gets it answered, and they don't ever feel like they were called out. They didn't have to put it out there. If they want to participate and say, yeah, that was my question, that's great. But they do not have to, and we're still going to address the question, because that was something I just learned in the classroom. It was, everybody's going to have questions. Some people have the guts to ask them, some don't. And they shouldn't be shot down if they are afraid to ask. And those questions can still be answered in a way that is constructive for everyone, and you still get the answers that you need and that you desire. So.
Excellent. Excellent. So that was the academypresents.com/meetup link. That's the free registration. It's all held via Zoom, and it's every Monday at noon Eastern. So it's a great time. And if you are watching this on a repeat, you can just rewind and scan the code with your phone.
And this one is specifically because of my experiences with Jeff Greenberg at Brian Briscoe's meetup. Clothes are not optional. I say that because he sometimes he'll log on from his hot tub, and we're all like, ah! He's like, oh, hot tub.
Yeah, so it's like a no shirt, no shoes, no service sort of Monday. That it keeps it marvelous.
I have a really good reason as to why.
Right. So there you go. That's excellent. And but we are watching Amy Sylvis's presentation. She has a new course on knocking LinkedIn and your LinkedIn presence out of the park. It's coming. It's starting on the 15th. And we actually have a special link that I'm going to drop in the chat to book an appointment for that course there. And of course, it's not cooperating. Boom, there it is. It's on YouTube. It should be on LinkedIn, but it doesn't look like it's showing up there. It should be on Facebook, all that kind of stuff. But let's continue watching. In case you don't know, over there on the left, who's viewed your profile, impressions of your post. I know impressions of your post by default, that's a 7-day period. Okay. So Jason, you're the underwriter, 46,000 in 7 days. How many is that per day?
That's a lot per day.
That's a lot per day.
6,000 plus per day.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot. So anyway, let's continue.
They're posting and intentionally support their comments. That would be my biggest recommendation for number one. And why is that? I mean, first, the algorithm is going to reward you, of course, right?
Okay, there's no way anybody remembers what she just said. So I'm going to tell you what she just said. She was saying that the real manageable habit you can do is you can pick 3 people on the platform and commit to engaging with their posts. And the idea would be they've already got the traffic, so your proximity to traffic bleeds over so that you get more connections and followers and all that kind of stuff. Angel, have you played around with the creator mode, turning it on and off? Okay. So the creator mode inside your LinkedIn profile, it changes the default button when somebody hovers over your face. Normally it says connect. But if they hover over your face and you have creator mode on, then it says follow. And the nice thing is you don't get in trouble for following people. You do get in trouble for connecting with people you don't actually know, at least if you tried to connect with a big meanie who hits the little button and says, I don't know that person, report them because they're at the nerve to try and reach out to me. Don't be that person. But following is a nice move. I encourage it. I use creator mode myself just because I don't want people to be concerned about sending that request. But that's basically all that I have to say on that. So let's continue.
right, for going ahead and making those comments and engaging on the platform. But secondarily, if you make a great comment, not just, hey, good job or whatever, but really put something thoughtful, maybe even something that someone else would reply to that would create dialogue, people in that industry, people that follow your kind of target avatar are going to start to see you. So, and especially if you've got a really robust headline that right off the bat kind of, jumps out at folks. So my headline, just give you guys an example, and feel free to copy it, I don't care. But when people see my little face, they also see that I help people generate passive income. There are a few other sentences there, but that's about it. Let me check my chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, thank you. So as I show Angel's private messages, no, they're public, I'm joking. But basically people see your face and then they see what you do. So if this is appearing, it's great if it appears within our community, but if it appears in, let's say my target avatar is a doctor, we're probably not gonna find someone here, but yeah, here's I'm in a group with clinical research professionals. If I put a comment here about ovarian cancer, it's going to maybe draw some people like, oh, real estate's been on my mind. What is this Amy chick up to? Maybe I'll give her a
this image here, I think if you got plates growing out of your lady parts like that, I think you should see a doctor.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, I remember her putting this on here. I'm going like, yeah, well, got leaves and stuff. It's not good.
Lord.
follow. Maybe I'll send her a DM. And it's pretty amazing how all that works. So 3 comments a day. I'm going to challenge you all to do that. I know it sounds like a tall task, but once you get going, you get in the rhythm, you're going to be amazed at how much it helps you. I'm a fast talker, so I'm going to pause there and turn at my screen. Any questions? Are we tracking? Dan, you want to add anything to this? Am I missing anything?
Question.
Yes.
So you mentioned like you're in that group with those people. Is that something we should be looking for, or is that coming later?
Yeah, no, that wasn't going to be in my top. I could give a 12-week course on this. There's so many tips and tricks. But yeah, that's very astute. That's a really wise question. Yeah, join groups. I come from the medical space. I've got a chronic illness, so I'm a professional patient. I also worked in biotech for 13 years. So I have a lot of knowledge about this space, and these types of folks have to be my target avatar. So yeah, if you feel like you have enough knowledge, the barrier to entry in medicine is a little bit higher, but legal, insurance, whoever you're thinking of, I would definitely join some of those groups and give, thoughtful commentary as you're able to and engage there. Think about, this is the best analogy I have. Think about Yona Weiss. You guys all know, raise your hand, you guys know who Yona Weiss is? Is he engaging with other cost segregation people? No, he's engaging with his target audience. He has podcasts for his target audience. He comments, he organizes these LinkedIn challenges. He's the master of this. He's not surrounding himself with other people. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think there's something amazing.
So she mentioned the challenge. Do you want to give a plug for that, or should I mention what Yona does as the challenge?
Well, we can both talk about it, but I've done the challenge twice. And basically for 10 days, that is your full-time job, friends. That is all you do. But it is a way to boost your engagement and boost your reach, because the people that are in the challenge are commenting on your posts, they're interacting with your posts. So you gain their networks too. So you gain their network, you have your network, and you're sharing your network as well. But it just helps you grow, and it helps more people, it helps more eyes get on what you're posting. So it really causes you to really understand that, hey, I need to be posting daily, or I need to be really focusing on how I respond to people. Oh man, pictures are really important. I need to not just do posts with just text. I get more traction if I have a picture. Oh, I get more traction if I have a video. Whoa, hey, if I put out a live, dang, more people see it because you can get repeat views. So there's a lot of things that you learn in those challenges that may not be shared with the challenge participants, but that you actually get to see occurring from your own eyes. You get to see it. So I think it's just really awesome.
Yep. I completely agree. But as far as how it actually works, a lot of the time you hear that, oh, well, something's getting plugged on the internet. So you figure this is probably something that costs money. Well, time sure is not free, but it is free to be in Yona Weiss's challenge when those happen. You just have to be connected with him and then say, I'm in when he has the challenge. And all it means is that for 10 days in a row, presumably business days, so he takes weekends off, you just are required to put a post out there. And then after that, if you get enough engagement, there's an honorable commitment among the members to contribute. So that's what that's all about. So it's not something that costs, but if you are investing in your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn account, your reach, which is basically what Amy is offering in this presentation for the 12-week LinkedIn course, it's a great way to give you that boost, especially in the commercial real estate sector. But this is the REI Rocks review, but this week it's the preview because we're having a masterclass in our upcoming summit in March. But let's let Amy continue, and we can talk more about that after this. Let's go.
About our real estate community, I try my best to support posts of other people in this community. But there's also something really valuable, again, not giving with the intention to manipulate or get something from, none of that, but to really add value and create conversation to develop those relationships. So I don't know if that was helpful. Is that a longer answer? Yes,
Nope.
Angel.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So would it be worthwhile to tag some of the influencers in those respective spaces?
Most people hate being mass tagged. They see it kind of as spam. So I would instead just give comment on the influencers' posts, add value, boost their posts, get into meaningful dialogue. I think the mass tags don't work I know you do it, and I think it's helpful. You do it for Marvelous Mondays. Like I always forget. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Angel tagged me, so I remember. That's different. We're buds, I want to go, so it's a great reminder. But in general, I think mass tags end up, especially for people that are influenced, they're tagged all the time. It's hard to kind of sort through all of that. So I'd be hesitant. I'm not gonna say no, but I'd be a little hesitant.
Okay, so I guess a follow up to that is like, what's a quick way to identify influencers in the space of your avatar if you have an avatar? Like, I don't know that we actually have an avatar. We kind of do. We kind of don't.
Yeah.
We just kind of scattershot. But how do you find influencers in various spaces?
I love that. So I ideally influence tags. So you can look up hashtags on LinkedIn. One thing that I do, this is aside from kind of my raising, but many of you probably know, I have cystic fibrosis. So I look specifically at this tag. A lot of people, you can follow.
Okay, about this is one thing that didn't come up, but if you look on the screen there, you'll see that cystic fibrosis, the hashtag on LinkedIn, it has 391 followers. Okay, so if you're going to be putting, like, I actually recommend people do not create their own custom hashtags, because you're basically creating a room for an audience, but there's nobody there. So you're basically shouting your message into an empty room. And of course, like, being an influencer in general, I saw this this was back in, I think it was 2017. I saw somebody sum it up this way. But like, when you're building your audience, at first you're talking to nobody, and then you're talking to like one or two people, and then suddenly you've got this huge audience. And that's totally how it feels, I'd say. But the thing I wanted to emphasize with the hashtags here is make sure that you're picking ones that has a whole whack of followers, because that way it's a nice busy room and you're actually directing it specifically at them. So, Angel, did you have anything to add?
No, I think I'm actually looking at mine right now. I'm like, how many followers are on the hashtags I put out there?
Right, yeah. And I
did come up with some on my own, and I'm like, man, I kind of screwed up here.
Well, like, even Yona does it for the different challenges as well. But like, that's one way. Even though I'm aware of this, that's one way where I kind of drop the ball myself. It's because, like, it's pretty tedious work just sitting there. I don't know, hashtag commercial real estate. That's the one that I'm always tagging. So that's a great one to tell everybody in the audience who's a commercial syndicator. Make sure you follow hashtag commercial real estate, because I found that in my brief searches among the different hashtags, that one had a decent number. I think it's like 11,000 or 20,000, somewhere in that neck of the woods. But like, that's still not a great hashtag by numbers. Like, if it's 1 million, then it's like, all right. But you want to be a little bit more specific. Anyway, let's continue.
Follow any hashtag you feel like, but you can sort by the top, like kind of most common posts that get the most views, engagement, interaction. You can kind of start there. And not everyone uses hashtags, but the influencers, typically people that really know how to game the system and work the algorithm, typically do. So I would start there. And then, of course, a lot of the really heavy influencers create their own groups as well. So if you're looking at groups, you can see who started them, who's most active there. That's kind of where I would start. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does. I hadn't thought about hashtags. Like, it just kind of clicked in my head. So like, with Anson's condition is a rare disease, D15Q, there's like, say, 1,400 people in the world. And Ira and I have talked about this too, is there seems to be really two kind of schools of thought when you have a rare disease. And that's, you either decide that you're going to abject yourself to poverty for the rest of your life, so you get government services, or you go the opposite direction.
Yep.
And you just earn whatever you have to earn to make it work.
Right.
And like, there's a family that their son has, their son has D15Q. They run the newsletter, The Mighty, if you've ever heard about it.
I know exactly. Oh yeah.
So that it's the are they Spafford? I forget their last name. But he works for like a big news company like NBC or ABC or something, and she's pretty big and stuff too. They are do 15Q. That is
Okay.
how I got to know them. And so those are the kind of people that if we could get them to be investors, holy night. And I had never thought about going like that. Like I knew that there were people in our group that could absolutely be investors and benefit greatly from being passive investors, but I never thought of how to reach out to them. And that could be to reach out to them.
Yeah. Well, and even if they don't become investors, like I can't tell you the number of times parents of kids with CF reach out to me because they see my post here and say, oh my gosh, I didn't know this is possible for my child. Like you've given me, so you could have multiple layers of go giving and positivity and all of that on this platform. So yeah, lots of really cool ways to do that. So my second tip, I guess it's kind of a 1 point, a deviation from the first point, is make sure you check your post impressions and your profile views. So if you just go to your profile, you can take a look and you can really track to see not only, how many people have looked at your posts. I like to look at 90 days just for fun. How many people have selected it? There it is, show results. So how many people have seen your posts, how many eyeballs, but then you can really look at your top performing posts. So what are you gaining traction? Where's the algorithm favoring you? Where are you getting the most comments? Where are you getting the most likes? This post was a little bit out of the norm. I was talking about my friend on Veterans Day. But I'm going to show you an example of one post. Again, kind of the go-giver mentality of, I'm going to try to educate people, but I'm also not going to say poke, but maybe talk about something where I know maybe a lot of people believe one thing or society's told them one thing, and then there are the other people that may think something differently. So I'm going to give you this as an example post. You can refer back to it or take a screenshot. But I want to give you this example of something that really got a lot of traction because I talked about homeownership. What's more American than buying your own home? A lot of Americans think it's something it's great to invest in. It could be a retirement plan, all this. And that's fine. Whatever folks want to think is great. I love to educate and give people a different perspective about how they might want to think about things differently. And what is the number one thing people love to do? They love to give their opinion. So we look at the structure of this post. I started off with a little bit of a, hey man, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad, but I really want folks to understand, what I'm trying to say here. And then this isn't even my tweet, right? This is from somebody else, but I found it on Twitter. I thought it was a great idea about the fact that, hey, maybe you're not making as much money, owning a house as you think. This obviously dovetails into some really great conversations, as you can imagine, because some people are like, hey, you're insane. You're throwing money away if you rent, or, hey, I agree with this completely. I didn't realize it, but yeah, I'd rather take that down payment on my home and invest it in real estate. And it blossomed, right? We got a lot of comments, a lot of engagement. So I'm not saying necessarily to be controversial, but if you really want to get eyeballs, and if you want ultimately to be the go-giver of knowledge, I would say once or twice a week, maybe talk about something. I'm not saying like talk about COVID vaccines, like please don't do that. Or talk about your political party, like that's going to end up in a mess. That's not the go-giver mentality. But I do think that saying, hey, maybe you should question kind of this notion that we're taught as Americans that buying a home is always the best idea no matter what. I love to challenge people to examine what they're taught. And maybe after examining, they end up still believing in what they thought in the beginning, but at least you challenged it. So I guess that's kind of one example I wanted to give you all in terms of what you can think about posting. Hand raised, Dan.
Yeah, I'm glad that the tweet that you posted is not from yourself. I personally think like posting your own tweets as a post, it's a little bit gross, and I'm interested to know what other people see. Like I see a couple of giggles, but what do you guys think? Like when you say it's like, hey, look, I said this.
Sasha does it all the time. She does it from like the stuff that she puts on Insta or the stuff that she puts on Twitter, and I think she does an amazing job with it. And I think it's totally.
Back when you said that this week, I actually wanted to hop in and say, but Masha, like a year ago, she would refer to herself in the third person anyway.
Yeah, but I wasn't talking about Masha. I was talking about Zasha.
Zasha. Oh, okay. Okay. So now I only look like a dummy on the internet instead of in the meeting. So that's cool.
Well, no, I mean, have you seen Zasha Smith stuff?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, out in Hawaii, right?
She takes her Insta, she takes her TikTok because she's using it to address a topic that's very relevant to people in her age group. Because she talks about like, do you think you can't do this? What's your first step to take this on? And I think that she's really doing relevant posts for people who maybe are in her space. So she's more in fix and flip and rehabbing. And so she's kind of addressing people like not only just in her age group, but that are in her sector or in her space, to talk more about the possibilities of not just growing where she's at, but branching out as well. And so, but Masha puts out posts of herself also.
Right. I just remember in her chance encounter back like over a year ago, it's just like, so it was something about like she didn't have anybody on her team who was doing self-storage construction. So Masha learned self-storage construction, but that's verbatim. That's how she said it, which was funny. It was funny, right? Yeah, exactly. Rock and roll. Let's continue.
totally suits her personality because that's who she is.
Well,
It's like liking your own posts, right?
And everybody does that too.
yeah, you really ought to. Anyway,
If you don't like your own post, why the hell are you posting them?
If I don't like it, why would I not post it? I post it because I liked it.
well,
You
yeah,
should let
yeah,
them
I
know.
need to show my cards a little bit just to let people know that yes, I am being an idiot. You know, like I'm not being serious. Of course, it's a joke. So yeah, it's important to react to your own stuff and think about how it should land.
I think we've got just a few more minutes, right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The other thing when you post, I want to make sure you all understand how important it is to reply to people's comments as soon as possible. I'm not saying to live on the app. You know, you got your thing. Some people hire a VA and have them reply to the comments. I don't do that. I don't know if I will in the future. I don't, because I really love the engagement. But you can see, I don't do a perfect job, but I try pretty quickly to reply. I don't just reply. I try to say something thoughtful. And I don't just try to say something thoughtful. I try to keep the conversation going. And again, not to manipulate people, you know, all that, but truly, I really wanted to know. So this gentleman, you guys may recognize him. He was talking about, you know, I'm not going to bore you off details because I know we don't have a ton of time, but I did ask him a question. How often?
I'm pretty sure I didn't mention it until after this recording ended, though. It's like, you know, Amy was a little bit, you know, apologetic about seeming like she was manipulating people with the comments to continue. But if you recall, I mentioned that you're giving exposure to people when you're responding, when you're commenting on their stuff. So it actually is helping both people just to keep that conversation going. And I think it's a absolutely pivotal skill on LinkedIn. And you should not feel bad at all because you know, like, why would you have an account other than to bring more business? So there we go. Let's go.
And how many years do you have to live in a house before your mortgage payment actually goes towards paying down your principal, right? We all know you're paying interest only. Oh, sorry, Matt?
1 month, you start paying principal right away. Not very much.
Not very much. Yes. And how often do most Americans move? So, you know, again, I'm not saying I'm against his comment, none of that, but sometimes I ask questions to illustrate and draw out, you know, things because people learn from the comments. I get that feedback all the time, but also to continue the conversation. LinkedIn likes conversation. It likes engagement. So you can see we go back and forth a bit, which is fantastic. Respectful, you know, but, you know, then someone else weighs in, right? So another person. So, you know, you really try. This doesn't happen all the time. I'm not going to tell you guys that I'm always able to do this, but on these great posts or on these posts that are maybe a little bit more controversial, some people will continue to engage. But bottom line is, yeah, please comment and reply to every post. Not only does it make people feel good that they're not just commenting into an abyss, but you really care that they bothered to reply, but it's favorable to the algorithm as well.
I just want to point out you just passed a great graph. I'm just saying, you don't have to go back, but yeah, right there.
It also gives the other people exposure when you're doing a back and forth. So don't forget about that. Like on social media, you don't exist unless your stuff is in their face right at that moment because they're thinking about somebody else otherwise. Yep.
Do we have time for one more tip? Is that okay? Okay. Not everyone has this, so I kind of feel bad bringing it up, but if you don't have it, you will have it. You can schedule posts on LinkedIn, which is such a time saver. So I would recommend you all post daily, which I know causes everyone to have a cardiac event, but I know, thanks Frank for empathizing. But here's what I recommend. Once a week or maybe every 2 weeks, batch your posts. Sit down, I drink tea, if you want some wine, you know, whatever. But think through what you'd like to talk about for the next week or two, and then you can go ahead and just schedule them. So that way you're not thinking every day, you know, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about? What's going on? How am I possibly, you know, going to be able to fill this void? So you can see, I don't have a perfect, this one's going out in 15 minutes. Yeah, so I have a few things kind of lined up for the rest of the week. And this way, yeah, I just thought on Saturday, kind of my game plan, and I don't always do it perfectly, but it definitely helps me save a lot of brain space and time daily. So I'm not kind of scrambling, trying to think something to post every day. But LinkedIn does heavily reward people that post daily, or at least several times a week. If you can't do 7, you know, do 4 or 5 at least. So yeah, and so you just create a post, and then if you have this option, which more and more people are getting every day, you can click this little clock, and that'll get you access. You tracking? Good, yes. All right.
I was gonna add, and I put it on there, like I'm putting her tips, and if I have something that I know that I've recently learned, I put it on there my tip. Think twice before you use a scheduler. I know there's plenty of people out there using schedulers, but then they come back in and they respond also. Because if you're just using a scheduler and you've got all this stuff popping up, but you're not interacting in your post or on other people's posts, you're probably going to get banned. It may be only a few hours, it may be a day, it may be a week or 2. George Roberts got banned for, how long did he get banned for? Was it a week?
I think it was longer than that.
It was a long time, and I don't remember if he was using a scheduler or a bot.
I think you meant
so that's a third-party
Michaels.
scheduler, just to be clear. So Amy was showing, right. So Amy was showing the LinkedIn native functionality, and there's no reason to assume that that'll be a problem. But third-party ones, was it Buffer, something like that was one of them I heard?
So I haven't heard that Buffer's been getting tagged, but Hootsuite's gotten tagged. Don't know about HubSpot, but then there's a few other ones. There's AutoScheduler. Dan Hanford used to use one, and I don't think he has a LinkedIn anymore. But he used to use one, and Ellie Perlman uses, I think she uses Hootsuite.
Oh, really?
Probably does too. But if you're using them too much, they will shut you down and you will lose the entire audience you've worked your butt off for.
Ouch.
That's fair. Well, and don't do what I do, which is sometimes I forget something scheduled where I say, hey, the link is in the comments. You can't post the link automatically in the comments, or you can't make a comment automatically. So LinkedIn doesn't like when you take eyeballs off of the platform. So if you include an external link in an original post, it's not going to get as many views. So if you ever see like, why is everybody posting links in the comments? It's because you won't get docked as much or penalized, if you will, by including them in the comments as you would in the original post. So yeah, if you're going to schedule something like I did here, make sure to go back right away. So people are going, hey, where do I register for your for your webinar? What's happening? So
Maybe that's why when I see something I want to, like there's like a little ad for a webinar, you click on it, nothing happens. There's no link.
oh, interesting. Huh.
Yeah, kind of seen that a couple times.
Have you?
Or sometimes if you put the link in the big post, it'll change the address to something like LinkedIn based. It's weird. So I just quit putting them on there and I started putting them in the comments, or I have Danica do that for me.
Yeah, it's a tracking link for them.
Yeah.
Dan, if you're talking, you're muted.
Okay, yeah. So that was the abrupt ending because I got into the private sessions there. Yeah, it's been a week. It's been quite the week this week, and so there was a lot of scrambling here. But Amy really did a great job there, going through some of the key points there. She still left a lot more for people, and I've been showing a couple times on the screen the link that you can use to get on her calendar to see if the 12-week program is right for you. But Angel, do you want to go off with the doggy bag, or do we want to take a second to talk about underwriting?
Well, we can do a little bit of both. The main things that I would say that I really get out of what Amy's doing, and one of the reasons why I am going to be joining the program, is because I really like what she's doing. I know for fact she's not sitting in front of LinkedIn 24 hours a day. It looks that way, but that is not what she's doing. And I'm a huge advocate of work smarter, not harder. And so I want to learn how to get a piece of what LinkedIn has to offer without adding more hours to my day, because I feel like I'm already working my tail off. So if you're sitting in that boat and you feel like you're already working your tail off and you'd like to see more results for what you're doing, that's what I'm hoping for, is to get more results from what I'm already doing, because I do already post daily. I do already have daily themes. I do post beyond what comes out in the daily themes when I have the opportunity to do so. I comment on other people's stuff. I'm constantly doing things, and sometimes I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels, and I don't want to feel that way. I want to see results from what I'm putting out there. And so I feel like in order to really step up to the next level, it's going to take learning a little bit more about how to use LinkedIn correctly, or more effectively anyhow.
Yep, because for a lot of people, it's just not worth the time. And Jason is a perfect example of somebody who really has no business spending a lot of his day every day on a platform like LinkedIn. So Jason, as far as underwriting goes, it's very intensive, especially in terms of attention to detail. So what are some things that you do to keep from getting frazzled and making sure that you can maintain that focus? There obviously has to be some family boundaries there, but the part I'm really looking for is what is there about the side of real estate that you're in underwriting that makes it where it's not just me saying, oh, by the way, I help people with their LinkedIn and social media content, and so you should definitely let me do it so I end up earning for it. Like that side completely apart, Jason. Why doesn't it make any sense for you to be doing the social media piece more than you do?
Well, I think everybody's different, and I'm just not a very sociable guy. And so, I get on there sometimes if I'm tagged, but it's usually in bursts.
And I think
freeze?
Yeah, you froze for a second. Yeah.
Did I get? the freeze. I might get on it for a week, but then I'm off of it for like 4 weeks, and then I get a kick to get back on it. And so, I mean, it might behoove me to be on it more regularly, more consistent. But if I can find a way to systematize it, but not like automate it, I could probably be on it better, more efficiently. But I kind of just do it haphazardly. Just if I'm tagged in something, I'll look at it. If one of the people that I follow is like one of my favorites, because you can mark your favorites whenever they post something, you can see. I'll look at it, but other than that, I just basically go through my notifications. I don't even go to my home screen to see what's been posted. So,
right. So, and your news feed or your home screen, as they call it, it's not necessarily going to be useful contacts for you that LinkedIn chooses. And so the trick you need to use for that is you need to unfollow people who clearly have no impact on your business. But and I should mention that Dan Fradenburgh has lots of impact on you. But do not unfollow me, pretty please, with sugar on top. Right. But I mentioned the underwriting because we do have to keep the lights on, all that kind of stuff. That's the part I guess I have to take down this comment so that you can see what's going on. If you need help with underwriting, I mentioned that is a very attention to detail heavy task there. Angel, maybe you can say a thing or two about what Jason has to offer.
No, absolutely. So when we're talking about things that you are needing or things that are going to help you when you're trying to take down a deal, one of those things is really great underwriting. We have passed by some deals, several deals, because we looked at them, we looked at their underwriting, and then Jason took the numbers and put it in his own underwriting, and it was kind of like, wow, this is really skinny. And we're familiar with skinny deals. We invest in our own backyard. It is a tertiary market, regardless of everyone saying it's secondary. And so in those tertiaries, things tend to be a little bit skinny. And we know the attention to detail that has to be undertaken to make those deals successful. And so when we are looking at a deal and we put it in our underwriting and it's like, ooh, that's cutting it close, unless we are really, really, really familiar with that operating team, we're probably going to pass it by. And that saved us a couple of different times from investing in a deal that could have been really, really ugly. We've gotten into some, 1.1s that were supposed to be like 2.6s. But that wasn't necessarily something that we could have caught with the underwriting. That was just incompetency on the basis of the team. So, and sometimes you live and you learn. But some deals are going to pencil and you think they're going to be fine and they aren't so fine. So make sure that you've actually truly committedly vetted that operating sponsorship team. You really want to make sure you're doing that. The other thing I would say is that you want to have a strong underwriter, because your underwriter doesn't just underwrite for the LOI. Yes, they do that. But above and beyond that, you also want someone that can continue the underwriting process throughout the deal so that you can fall back on the underwriting, you can make adjustments, and you can see where the projections are changing. Are they above? Are they below? What do we need to do? Where do we need to try and move money around from? Maybe you had allocated $275,000 to flooring and you discover you only need $100,000. Well, now you've got $175,000 that you can allocate elsewhere. So you need someone on your team that can reallocate and move those numbers around, not in a way that is illegal, but in a way that makes more sense within the framework of what is allowed. And you have to have a strong underwriter to be able to make those changes and to be able to look at that data and determine what's happening and where we're going. Now, I am not a good underwriter. I can't tell you why numbers go up and down, but I 100% trust my underwriter. And that's not just because he's my husband. It's because he's amazing at what he does. And we've got a team of people that will absolutely second, third, fourth, fifth that. So.
Yep, I absolutely love that. And one of the biggest parts has to be when investors are turning around and saying, like it's basically what their impressions are. So if you don't have a strong underwriter on your team, then you're going to be you're like, just for transparency reasons, you're going to need to disclose to your investors really often the fact is like, yeah, so our guesses were wrong. Right. And we haven't been following, the business plan that our underwriter, put out there. So it's not really just a quick thing. I like to make the distinction between a client and a customer. And it sounds like you're describing the customer type where, just like when you buy a used car, once it's off the lot, it's basically your problem. Whereas it makes more sense to have a more client relationship with your underwriter, so that if something comes up, they got that duty. So that's that link right there, and there's a QR code for you as well. But that was a fantastic presentation from Amy Sylvis. I really enjoyed it. Jason, did you have any comments you wanted to add about Amy's presentation, or you ready to give everybody back the rest of their day?
No, I enjoyed it, and I've been working on my headline for my LinkedIn. I'm kind of going off of what Amy went, which hers was helping you generate passive income through real estate without the hassle of tenants, termites, and toilets.
Mm-hmm.
I changed mine to helping you generate passive income through real estate without the hassle of residents, rodents, or restrooms. So mine is like completely different, but I think it still gets to the point. So.
Yeah, it does. It does. It doesn't really rock the boat too much. So that's good. That's nice. I like that. But I guess the only other thing I can say is subscribe. It's yummy. I love this sandwich, and I made this stupid thing that I put on YouTube, and it has no sound. So I'll just go, yeah, subscribe. It's yummy. There you go. That's what you need in your life. I'm so glad I subbed. Subbing is free on the YouTube channel. Make sure you do that. But this has been the REI Rocks preview this time. We're here live every morning on Fridays at 11 a.m. and that's Eastern. Anything else you want to say before we sign off, guys?
Just that our next summit is coming up March 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And there is a stealthy way to get a free VIP upgrade, which gets you over to the live side without having to purchase the ticket. And that's by getting this VIP subscription right here. This will make you a VIP in the Real Estate Investing Rocks family, and you get all of the benefits of being a VIP subscription member. So make sure you take a look at that. The VIP ticket itself is a lot more than the subscription. So this is a really great opportunity for you to get to be a part of the live action and get to be a part of the live audience while also saving some cashola. So
beautiful. And it's a lovely Friday morning still, even on my time. And I look forward to giving everybody back more of their day. So thank you very much. That's it for today. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.